Okay. So 8 mudinjadilya. Esha brahmacha vishnuscha shivaskandav prajapatihi mahendro dhanada kalo yamas somo hyapampatihi. So we'll see a lot of Esha appearing. Yeah, we noticed that. And Esha means this person, this. So they're referring to that, the principle of the son of Aditya as Esha. இன்னைக்கு by just listen Chandra Mama chant பண்றச்சே ஒரு இடத்துல அழகா அதை பிரேக் பண்ணார். So I realized when we do the meanings, how you automatically tend to break it in the right way. Actually இந்த எந்த இடத்துல ஞாபகம் இருக்கு எனக்கு, சர்வதேவா சர்வமங்கள மாங்கல்யம் அக்ஷயம் பரமம் சிவம் சிவம். So it is nice to hear, because namakke we'll know, because we know the meaning of the word now. Some of these words we will possibly sarvan arin vatsa. Of course mama munadi therinjirkalam, but I'm just saying when we chant it sarvan arin vatsan solradhu, sarvan arin vatsan solrache namakku mind la we already know we are breaking the word with the right meaning. We understand the meaning, we're breaking the word அப்படிங்கிறது. இங்க பாருங்க, ஏன சர்வான் அரின் வத்ச சமரே விஜயிஷ்யசி. So அந்த விதத்துல understanding the namas, it helps us to recognize what we are saying rather than just chanting it. We are staying tuned to what it also means. See, a lot of times we may, because Sanskrit is not our first language. One second. So Sanskritam namakku because it's not our first language and we're not familiar with it so comfortably, it may take us time to pause on each of the shloka or nama to reflect upon the meaning, right? So it may take that, but at least it'll get better with time. As we chant more and more and we reflect upon the meaning, it will get better, and it will also some of these meanings we ourselves will start understanding it differently. See, right now we are looking at the meaning in a certain way. Kalaha, yamaha, somaha, apampatihi. We are looking at the meaning in some certain way. Now somewhere else you will listen to some upanyasam where yama is presented differently. The principle of yama, somebody explains it beautifully differently. Then that will also come to us here. So this is how some of these meanings will also reveal itself to you differently. Oh, in that upanyasam, somebody said it like this. Then when you are chanting Aditya Hridayam, when the same nama comes, our mind will go to that meaning also. Right? So the interesting thing about chanting is that that when you chant repeatedly something, it grows on you. For those who have been chanting Vishnu Sahasranam or Lalita Sahasranam from childhood, when you start looking at it with meaning, suddenly there is a certain familiarity when you chant it. But when you then look at the meaning of it, then the association becomes very different with the same shloka, with the same mantra. The association becomes very different. The association becomes more meaningful. And then there is a lot more interest in the chant. So this is something that's beautiful, and this will grow upon us, right? And it's not a 1-day thing, 2-day thing, or 1 week, 10 days, I've learned the chant. No, we keep doing this at regular times, and the more number of times we do, it will grow upon us. The meaning will grow upon us. Different layers of the meanings will come out. I was doing this Trayambakam Mahamrutyunjaya shlokam. I was explaining to somebody the other day. I've been doing it like over a few sessions with the person, and the realization that there are so many layers of meaning within it is phenomenal as you explore and go through it. And so this person is saying that I have been chanting Mahamrutyunjaya from childhood. I've known this Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. But now when I look at the meaning, it's got so many layers of meaning. Now the way you associate and approach the mantra becomes very different. The devotion increases, the asana, the interest to chant it increases, and you will know when to employ it also. See, this is also an important thing. A lot of times our mind goes into different states of stress, agony, pain, distraction. All of that happens. And a lot of these mantras that we chant repeatedly will come back to you at such times. Suddenly, a lot of times you'll see the mind is so busy, so just filled with thoughts that are nonsensical. And you want to get rid of those thoughts. You'll say, go sit and do meditation. It doesn't work. Meditation, actually, when you go and sit, you'll get more thoughts than ever. So by chanting and also to have a little bit of a flavor of the meaning, when we chant, the association or our relationship with that chant becomes different. And then the mind, it starts losing all those thoughts that are, keeping it held in a negative state. So that is why some of these mantras and chants are very effective. They're effective. You can also look at it as psychotherapy, right? Can also be looked at psychotherapy. I was telling the doctor, palliative care doctor who comes and visits my father. I was telling in the ICU, at least in some places like Coimbatore and some places, ICU, it's so dead silent. They don't play anything there. It's so silent, and when you go in there, even a normal person will get sick. So I was telling, why don't you play some sounds, some chants, some of these sounds that can...
they actually have it in Australia, Mahoday. So
Australia?
They have the chapel services. So based on whatever religion you follow, and if the patient is really stressed in the ICU, they'll bring in the relevant people to do some chanting.
Lovely. But I'm thinking more like, let the thing being played.
But people are from different beliefs.
Agreed. So I'm saying some of these even secular music can be also played, right? Which is not necessarily the chants only. It can also be some music that they can play that can be calming. So I said, at least you can try that. The silence is very haunting. So I'm just saying sounds can have that effect. And of course, what you could also do is, what we would do is play like a small, what is that? That small mobile speaker or something we can keep by the head side, and that will keep playing. But it has phenomenal benefits to the mind. Because again, we are associated with these chants, right? Some association is there. And when you go through it multiple times, without going through it just repeatedly or monotonously, you go through it with some meaning, some understanding, sometime you look at it, then there is a deepening of relationship with it. And that is why you'll notice each one of us has a different chant that is favorite to us. And each one of us has a different raga madri, and not a favorite raga madri, you'll have a different chant that is favorite to you. Because you are able to resonate with that chant in a certain way. And that is the chant that will heal you at times of distress. So, 9th one. Pitaro vasava sadhya ashvinau maruto manuhu vayurvahnif praja prana ritukarta prabhakaraha. So this is the 9th verse. Now, as we said, again, it will keep going on, picking up each nama. We'll pick up each nama and look at what the nama means. A lot of repetitive meanings will also appear, but it's all right. Right? See, because once you're starting to praise somebody, or point you will have to use different words to say the same things. You're just so excited in praising the person. Correct, but I still feel like telling. It's like that. So Pitru Devataye Namaha. Pitaro Vasava Sadhya Ashvino Maruto Manoho. The way it is breaking is Om Pitradevataye Namaha, Om Vasumurtaye Namaha, Om Sadhyamurtaye Namaha, Om Ashvimurtaye Namaha, Om Marunamurtaye Namaha, Om Manave Namaha, Om Vayumurtaye Namaha, Om Mahnaye Namaha, Om Praja Rupaya Namaha, Om Pranaya Namaha, Om Ritukartre Namaha, Om Prabhakaraya Namaha. Okay, so in the Idukulla, there are so many namas that appear. There are at least about close to 10 namas that are there. So Pitara Devataye Namaha is Pitra Devataye Namaha, which means he is the father. Because we say from him this whole universe is created, we refer to him as the father. The father is somebody who is and also if you see all the Pitru Tarpana that we do, it is an offering that is done in the presence of the sun, right? Because he is also the agent that nourishes. We saw in one of the previous shloka, right? Deva Sura Ganan Lokan Patigabastibhi. All the lokas, he is the one who nourishes. So even the Pitru Loka, even the Swarga Loka, and all of the lokas, Surya Bhagavan is nourishing. Hence, when we are offering it in the presence of Surya, we are also requesting him, please nourish my Pitru in the Pitru Loka. So that is also something that we do. We do it in the presence of the Surya Bhagavan. And so he is referred to as Pitaraha. Vasavaha. There are in fact, in Dakshinamurti Stotram, Ashtamurti Bhrit, there is the word to refer to Dakshinamurti. Ashtamurti Bhrit. There are 8 forms or 8 aspects of the divine form which are propitiated or which are prayed to. So all of these 8 forms, Vasus, Ashtavasukkalnu Cholova. You would have heard of this term, Ashtavasu. There are 8 Vasus. One of the Vasus was actually born as Bhishma Pitama. You're familiar with the story, right? So these 8 Vasus, they did some mischief in the Devaloka, and then something happened. And Bhishma Pitama was the leader of the Vasus. And then he was cursed to go down to Bhuloka for a period of time. And in fact, the Ashtavasus were born to Ganga Devi, which are the ones that she then offered to the to actually, after they were born, she drowned them in the river. Those who are familiar with the story of Shantanu and Ganga Devi. Ganga Devi, when she married Shantanu, she said, you should not ask me why I am doing when I am doing something. That is the only nirbandha, the only constraint that she had in marrying Shantanu. And she said, if you ask me, I will leave you and go. And that time, I'll have to leave you and go. So they live. So essentially, the story is Shantanu falls in love with Ganga Devi, and then he approaches her, and then she says, I'm okay to marry you. I'm a celestial being, but I'm okay to marry you. You're a just king. But then this is the constraint. And then they marry, and then she has a child. Ganga Devi has a child. So after the child is born, through the night, Ganga Devi carries the child and dumps the child into the water. And then she does this 7 times. Every time there is a child born to the 2 of them, she does this. And Shantanu watches this. He knows of this, but he is silent because of the promise he had given her. But then when the 8th child is about to be thrown, he is not able to contain himself. He goes and says, what is this nonsense that you're doing? You're drowning every child of mine. And then she says, now that you've asked me, I have to leave you and go, but I'll tell you what it is. And then that 8th child continues to live. and that is Bhishma Pitama, and the other 7 have gone back to the Devaloka. And she says the story is that there's some thing that happened with the Ashtavasus where they were cursed. In the Devaloka, they were cursed to be born in Bhuloka. And then after the curse, they went and pleaded to maybe Ganga Devi, or they pleaded to maybe Shiva. And then he said, Ganga Devi will go down to earth and then bear you children and then release you back. See, this is interesting story, because even to be born, just to be born in Bhuloka, you must have had some karma. So you have some karma to clear. You can just be born. There are many cases where there are children born and they just die. And we, of course, if we happen to be the parents of the child, it's excruciatingly painful. But then to think of that, the child has just that much amount of karma that the child had, that it had to clear. It was born and it died. So now we think that the child was born and died, but then actually the child was living in the womb for 7, 8, 9 months, and it was clearing of its karma there. Right? So the karma was actually being cleared there, and those things we don't know as mortal beings. That what we see is what we perceive in our experience. Right? The child in the womb is already going through karma. Is already clearing karma, which is why it is said, even to be born in the Bhuloka, you must have done papa. Right? There must have been papa karma, because after being born, what we go through is different. Even the process of being born itself is excruciatingly painful for the child. There is a Shiva Kshamapana Stotram. In the first stotra itself, verse itself, Adi Shankara says, Shiva Kshamapana Stotram. Adi Shankara says, I was in this puddle of water, dirty water, which is mixed with urine and feces and all of that. I don't know. I definitely would have done a lot of wrongdoings to have suffered through this. I seek your kshama. Right? So, just to be born, just to be in the womb itself, velila we celebrate. When the child is in the womb, we celebrate the mother, we celebrate the family, we celebrate, oh, child is going to be born. But the child inside there is actually going through a lot of distress. It is not a very comfortable place to be in. Okay. So, Vasavaha, the Ashtavasus are, they nourish, Ashtavasus form the 33 crores, 33 koti, not 33 crores, 33, we say these 33 koti deities, right? We say that there are 33 koti deities in the Hindu pantheon. Their koti, one meaning of koti is crore. The other meaning of koti is also category. Category is also koti. So the 33 categories of deities are Ashtavasus, Ekadasha Rudra, Dwadasha Aditya, and so on and so forth. So all of these, they sum up to 33. So Ashtavasus, and these are all deities who nourish us in one form or the other. So Ashtavasus are also the ones who nourish us. So Surya in the form of Vasu, Vasavaha, Vasumurtaye Namaha. Okay, so that is Pitaro Vasavaha Sadhya. Sadhya is one who has attained Siddhi. Sadhya Murtaye Namaha. One who is accomplished or one who has attained Siddhi is Sadhya. And he is one who has all kinds of siddhis. If you know the story, Surya Bhagavan was the teacher for a few people. Do you know who all they were?
Anjaneya actually goes and learns.
Correct. Anjaneya learns from Surya Bhagavan. There is another person in the Vedic, in the Upanishadic lore.
Upanishad.
Huh?
Amshuman.
Amshuman. He learns from Surya Bhagavan.
Vivaswana.
So there is one, Vivaswan is a name for Surya Bhagavan, but Vivaswan is also one of the, that's one of the names of Manu also. Manu is one of the Manasa Putras. I don't know if he went to learn from, I think so, yeah. Manu, Vivaswan, they learned from Surya Bhagavan. There's another interesting Rishi who learned from Surya Bhagavan. His name is Yagyavalkya. Rishi Yagyavalkya. So the story of Yagyavalkya, I think I've narrated this once. He wrote so which is why we have two kinds of Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda and the Shukla Yajurveda. So Yagyavalkya learned Yajurveda from Surya Bhagavan, and what he transcribed, or whatever he learned, he gave taught, is called a Shukla Yajurveda, the white Yajurveda, because it was learned from Surya Bhagavan. So that is an interesting story. That is, so even Yagyavalkya is also a student of Surya Bhagavan. So he is Sadhya, the one who's accomplished. He is accomplished with all siddhis, hence he is able to teach everything. Ashvinau, he is also in the form of Ashwini Devata. Ashvinau means there are two Ashwini Devatas, right? So Sanskritam has got the dual case, so Ashvinau. And Surya Bhagavan is also in the form of Ashwini. He is also a healer, as a physician. In fact, I say about healing and physician. In fact, a lot of diseases don't, or rather, your well-being, a lot of sicknesses don't come if we expose ourselves enough to the rays of the sun, right? Vitamin D is one thing that we know of, but generally our exposure to the rays of the sun, in the morning sun particularly, many sicknesses don't invade us. Similar to saying, if you drink enough water, sicknesses won't come. It's not that water can be a cure to sickness, but then to prevent sicknesses, you drink sufficient water. Likewise, you expose ourselves to the morning sun, many sicknesses won't attack us. Now, it's very interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day in Dubai, particularly in the Middle East. A lot of people are found to have vitamin D deficiency, and we'll wonder why.
Everywhere, I think.
I know.
Even in India these days, it's, yeah, I was going to say the same thing, vitamin D.
But there's so much of sun out there, right?
Nobody wants to go out there in the hot sun. That's
the problem. So despite the fact the sun is out there, he's out there. We are in here. So despite the fact that the sun is out there, we get vitamin deficiency because we don't want to expose ourselves. And in fact, places like Dubai and all is like that, because the effect of the sun is so strong that if you miss the morning piece, the morning hour or so to go out, the rest of the day you just can't go out. It'll be burning. So now it's starting to become like that in southern parts of India and several parts of India. So that's the Ashvino. So he is the form of a physician. Maruto Manuhu. He is also Marutaha. So Marutaha is also one of the gods, is also known as a wind god, right? Like Vayu is the god of wind, but Marut, there are a few Maruts that are there. Again, these are, see, if you look at some of these, Vasus are Ashtavasu, Ashwini are 2 Ashwinis, Marut, there are a few Maruts. So these are all divine or celestial beings that have some functioning. that have some celestial functioning. They have a functioning in the physical, in the external world, and they also have some functioning within our physiology. Which is why nyasam, the whole process of nyasam that we do, those who are familiar with the process of nyasam means when we do in most of the stotras we do at the start, right? In Namakam, for instance, we do Namakamla CNV Nyasam la sollume. What do we say? Diksho me shrotre shrutaha shrotra gum hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Suryo me chakshushrutaha suryo me chakshushrutaha chakshur hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Vayur CNV அந்த போர்ஷன் எங்கேயாவது இடம் ஜஸ்ட் கொஞ்சம் சாண்ட் பண்ணிடாத. CNV are there? Since we touched about nyasam, because this whole thing appears like a nyasam, right? This whole shloka appears like a nyasam. Nyasa. ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். E-books. Nyasam. Yeah. Agnirme vachishritah vak hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Vayurme prane shritah prano hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Suryo me chakshushrutah chakshur hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Chandrama me manasi shritah mano hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Disho me shrotre shrutaha shrotragum hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. அது மாதிரி போகும். So beautiful. All of these deities that are there on the outside, Agni, Surya, Vayu, Chandra, and all of these are deities on the outside. But what we do in Nyasa is we are bringing that deity into, for example, we're doing Agnirme Vachishritah. You're bringing the Agni Devata and putting him on your tongue, so that may your tongue operate effectively, efficiently, correctly. Then Vak Hridaye, then you take the Vak and you move it to the Hridaya. Vak Hridaye. Hridayam Mayi. Where is the Hridaya? Hridaya is in me. Hridayam Mayi. Aham Amrite. I am the immortal. Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani. This Amrita is in Brahman. So this is Nyasa, where you position each of these deities in your various in the various parts of your body. And this is usually done at the start of any shloka, so that you enable your whole body, your whole being, and you're becoming in tune with the environment around you. And you're saying that these functionaries, these deities that are functioning well on the outside, may it also function well within me. And then we do the puja, whatever that we do, right? So that is the method. So here the same thing is happening. We are Vasu, Ashwini, Marutaha, we are Vayuhu, Vaknihi. See, all of these, we are, in a way, we are also doing Nyasa in this particular shloka. If you see, Pitaro Vasava Sadhya Ashvino Maruto Manuhu Vayu Vaknihi Praja Prana Ritukarta Prabhakara. Okay, so we are also we're saying that Surya Bhagavan is the power behind all of these functionaries. He is like the CEO. right? He is like the CEO behind all of these different departments that are functioning, and he is the power behind all of this. He is the one who gives them guidance, direction, strategy, vision, mission, everything. He is also giving them the necessary funds to go and operate, right? So that is the this thing. And then so Marutaha, these are beings that enable the functioning of the prana within you. Manuhu, Manave Namaha. So Manu is the this particular, what do you call that, as Manvantara. Manu is actually known as the progenitor of human beings, Manava. See, there are different kinds of beings, right? Including the smallest form of animal, the smallest form of microbial being, to the human being, to the celestial deities, everything. All of these are beings, and each one has a certain, and there are people who, or there are, so if you look at Prajapati is he is Brahma's Manasaputra, and he enables creation of everything. And at the helm of each creation, he is put some leads, some people for each kind of creation. So there are different forms of beings that are there. You would have heard beings like Danava, Rakshasa, Asura, and Manava. Manavas are so the human beings come from the Manu dynasty, or Manu, whatever, right? These are just created as heads to kind of show a certain structure in creation. That is all. This is the way Bhagavatam and the Vedic literature views it. So Manu, and which is why we call every, sorry ji, outsource funder. So which is why every year is called a Manvantara, or the year of the Manu is called the Manvantara. Those are familiar with the Sankalpa that we do during Upanayanam or Tarpanam, or even when we during Avinavittam, when we change the Punal. Vaivaswata Manvantare. So Manvantara means duration of time, where Manu is at the helm of the Manavas, and he and there are different Manus that have been there at different times, right? And then the present Manu is Vaivaswata Manvantare. So the present Manu is known as Vaivaswata, and he is known to be the son of Vivaswan, the sun god. So Vivaswan is another name for sun, and and this Manu is, we look at Manu as the son of sun. So Manu is seen as the son of sun, and he is Vaivaswata, right? Vivaswan becomes Vaivaswata, right? Vivaswan is the name of the sun, like Kunti's son becomes Kaunteya, Vivaswan's son becomes Vaivaswata. So he is Manuho. Manu also, the meaning of the word, direct meaning of the word, is that he is omniscient. He knows everything. How does he know everything? How is it possible that he knows everything? Because he is operating in each one of us. There's a very beautiful way in which the Upanishad presents this idea. It says, how does Brahman know everybody, knows everything? How does it operate? So one way of looking at it is it operates as the Jivatma within us, and by means of being this Jivatma within us, it knows us, and hence Brahman knows us. Brahman knows everything. It's like it's actually like employing what example can we use here? It's probably like a spy, right? Brahman has a spy within each one of us. And by means of knowing, by means the Jivatma knows itself, knows what it's doing. And because Brahman has employed the Jivatma, by means of that, it knows everything. In a very crude way of looking at it. But the idea is that by being in everything, if I am in everything, hence I know everything. Like, for example, my body. I have right now, this is my body. Where am I in this body? I'm everywhere in this body, right? If there is a mosquito that's sitting here on the top of my head, or an ant that's crawling on my leg, I know it. How do I know it? Because I am there everywhere in my body. I am present everywhere in my body. In the same way, consciousness is all pervading, and by virtue of being everywhere, it knows everything. That is all. Right? So in that sense, it is omniscient. Manuho. Vatnihi. Vatni also means fire. Right? Agni. Vaknaye namaha. So Agni is essentially, we've spoken about Agni one before. Agni is an extremely important agency for a spiritual seeker. Because what we do is we use the Agni that is on the outside to light up the Agni which is inside. And Agni, if you look at the Manipuraka chakra within us, the third chakra, first is Mooladhara, second is Swadhisthana, the third chakra which is behind the navel, Manipuraka chakra, that chakra, the Agni, is the Agni that can raise your physical desire, material desire, and convert it into spiritual desires or subtler aspirations. Even attaining to moksha is a desire, but it's a desire that worth having, because that desire is eventually going to dissolve you. The other desires are going to hold you back, keep you grounded, keep you bonded, keep you in the gross. This desire is going to liberate or set you free. So it's a desire that's worth having. So Agni, and the other thing is Agni, if you see as a flame, always goes upwards. It is always in the upward direction. How much ever you, even if you light a matchstick which is down, if you put the stick down, the flame will still go upwards. Right? Of course, there's a reason why it burns off it creates vacuum, and hence the flame goes upwards. There's a scientific reason to it. But again, from a spiritual standpoint, if you look at it, or as a seeker, when you look at Agni, which is very important, right? Homas are very, very important to go and attend to. Of course, it's very inconvenient to sit around a Homa Agni, because it's too hot, it's too sticky, it becomes very sweaty and all of that. But the way to sit in a Homa is to sit and keep looking at the Agni. And in itself, it's a very, very meditative process. My guru always tells, whenever there's Homa happening, sit and look at the Agni. Just look at the Agni, because the Agni has an ability to take different forms. In fact, if you have sufficient focus and attention, the Agni can respond to you. That is why people see different forms. Krishna Theriyarar, Guru Ayappan Theriyarar, Shivan Theriyarar, Trisulam Theriyarar, people look at different forms. It's also possible. And Agni is a very conscious element. Similar to fire and earth and water, Agni is also a conscious element, but much subtler, but much more dynamic. It's subtler, it's dynamic, and it can respond to you. Vayu and Akasha are even more subtler, but you will not be able to experience when it responds to you. You will not know when it's responding to you. But Agni you can see, because it's got Rupa also in it. Right? It has got Rupa also. So Agni And Surya Bhagavan is Agni. He gives um, from him Agni is born. So Agni that we experience is present in material. See, the Agni that comes out, those who have seen this Vedic way of generating fire, has anybody seen the we'll close with this one today. Has anybody seen the Vedic way of creating fire for the Homa? It's a very beautiful method. I'll probably share it in the group.
இது பண்ணி உள்ள they will put some the வெக்கோல் இது மாதிரி வச்சு straw மாதிரி வச்சு அதை வச்சு அதுல இருந்து அந்த ஹீட்ல இருந்து வந்து கொண்டு வந்து அது அக்னி கொண்டு
அதுல இருந்து பண்ணுவா. So they will actually கடையறது.
அத வந்து அக்னி கடையறதுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அக்னி ஏத்துறதுன்னு சொல்ல மாட்டா.
கடையறது.
அக்னி கடையறதுன்னு தான் இப்ப அந்த காலத்துல சொல்லுவா. கல்லு வச்சு தேய்ச்சு கல்லால வச்சு பண்ணுவா. இல்லைன்னா இந்த கல்லு மாதிரி மத்து மாதிரி வச்சுட்டு கடன் கடைஞ்சு அதனால வந்து ஹீட் ப்ரமோட் பண்ணி பண்ணுவா. அத அன்னைக்கு இதுக்கு பண்ணால வேதத்துல பிரமோத் அனுப்பினால
Pramod had gone to this thing. இதுக்கு தான் போயிருந்தான். Guruvayur. So there they started the Homa in that fashion, and this is the Vedic way of doing it. So which means they actually and the kadayar amma solra mari they do something like churning of the milk to get butter. They churn, and then there is a stone, some form of stone is there, and then when some amount of smoke starts coming out, they will put some hay, dry hay, to catch fire, and that dry hay will catch on some little bit of fire embers. It will get some it'll get hot. They will take that and put it into the Homakunda, and then of course they'll add Agni, Dhritam, all your ghee and all of that to then make it into a big fire. But the point here is Agni is existing in that. See, where is Agni coming from? Agni is existing in that material, in that thing. So in the same way, why is that Agni existing in that? How is it existing? Because this whole planet has come out of Surya, and Surya is Agni. Surya is the creation, or Surya is Agni, and that whole Agni element is embedded in all material. Of course, you can't you can't do that at everything. The amount of Agni that's available in some materials are much more, and some it's much subdued. But Agni as a tattva is available in everything. So in this the Agni that is there is essentially an element of Surya, or essentially born out of Surya. The very important other thing is the Vedic there's one, I don't know which one I read, but there's a Vedic reference to say how Surya and Agni take turns in terms of providing us with heat and light. So during the day, Surya is there, and Surya does all the functioning of giving us heat and light. When it sets, it gives its power to Agni. It gives its power to Agni, and Agni then carries us through the night. In those days, when electricity wasn't available, the only way to perceive anything in the dark after Suryastam is essentially Agni. Agni was only the method of being able to bring light and also heat. So Agni is extremely important and has a great relationship with Surya that way. And for us also, if you want to experience the effect of Surya within us, it has to be experienced as Agni within us. It has to be experienced as Agni. Vayur Vakni Prajapranaha Ritukarta Prabhakaraha. So Vayu, oh, we missed Vayu, I think. So we'll just say that once. Vayu Murtaye Namaha. So Vayu Murtaye is one who is in the form of Vayu. One of the meanings that one of the commentators has given us, that he spreads fragrance and purifies the mind of the devotees. in the form of Vayu. Vayu can carry pretty much everything because he has access to everything, right? The next person who has access to everything after space is Vayu, right? So Vayu can go everywhere. And of course, when we talk about everywhere, we're not talking about, oh, space does not have Vayu. It's not like that. It's essentially in our, see, all of this is to bring it to our context. Why do we bring it to our context? Because we are using this as a tool for our own upliftment, for our own evolution, right? So we're using all of these as a tool. So when you're saying Vayu is Surya's agent to do what? To carry on. In fact, Guru Vayu oda story another. Guru and Vayu were if somebody knows, I can share that story. Guru Vayu wrote a story. Guru and Vayu together was they were bringing that idol, and then they established in Kerala, and the land they established. Maybe we can look up the story. It's a nice, interesting story. How Guru Vayu is an agent along with Guru, and brings it brings knowledge, wisdom, and divinity to you. It's a nice story. We can look up that story.
Even these Madhvas, they talk about Hari Guru Vayu. They have that Vayu always included.
Is
the
it?
Madhva, Hari, apro they talk about Guru and then Vayu.
Vayu, is it? So Vayu is always looked upon as an agency who can bring things to you, which also includes in the esoteric sense. It also means that he can bring knowledge to you. He can bring wisdom to you. He can bring understanding to you. He can bring prosperity to you. He can bring well-being to you. Right? All of these things that Surya Bhagavan is wanting to give, Vayu can bring it to you. So Surya in the form of Vayu, using the agency of Vayu in the form of Vayu, also provides nourishment. Whenever we see nourishment, we always should remember it is at all three levels: physical, mental, and spiritual. Right? It's Pushti Vardhanam. So that is the shloka. So we barely finished the 9th one. We'll continue the 9th one and finish off with the 10th next week. Yeah. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana Va Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayai iti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namaha.